Hello, dear starshines. Christina here. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Lunchtime Chats. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina, and I'm an acceleration expert. And we are here to talk about those topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds and way showers, because we have abilities, we have capacities that are not embraced by our larger human family, and therefore we have extremely unique perspectives on the daily challenges that we face on a daily basis. So we're here to talk about those things, and I'm here to do to the best of my ability to provide a liberated perspective on these topics and issues. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. We'll give everybody a minute to get on board and say hello. Hello, dear sister Carol. Nice to see you, sweetie. Then we have a message here from Tasha, dear Starshine Tasha. She says, I'll be picking up the babies from school when you go live, but I saw this on my feed and just wanted to say hi. And I hope all are having the best day ever. Hugs and high fives. Wonderful. Thank you for that, dear Tasha. Thank you for the good wishes. And I would like to echo that. Lots of love and high fives to all of you out there. You're waking up to face another day, to bring your magic, bring your light into another moment. And lots of kudos to you for showing up and making that happen. And I want to send additional love and blessings to all of those who maybe are having a hard time showing up for their day today. Just of, blessings of support and of encouragement. And, I feel like we're about to turn a corner in a good way. I know, how when there's transformation is happening, it's like the pressure gets stronger, stronger, stronger until you feel like you're going to break and can't take it anymore. And then all of a sudden the breakthrough happens. Well, I feel like, on a collective level, we're on the verge of that. Like the collective of humanity is about to make a massive turn a major corner that is really going to shake things up in a way that's going in the direction that truly serves the benefit of humanity. So I just want to share that real quick with you guys. Hello, dear sister Jackie. So glad that you're here. Yeah, you made it. And Polly, hey, darling, how are you? I'm glad that you're here. So the crew's gathering, and I'll just talk a little bit about some points that have been posed, some questions that have been posed to me, and I'm going to do my best to give a thorough explanation to paint the bigger picture. One is, and I talked about this in a couple last chat or the chat before, I can't remember. I talked about, ET interference and interdimensional interference when it comes to hijacking sexual energy, and how reclaiming that is part of your path to sovereignty as a multidimensional being. So there's a dear Starshine in our academy that messaged me with another question on that, because it really wasn't clear on how multidimensional sovereignty is connected into sexual bliss and stuff like this. So I want to, and I did share with them, in that moment, but it was such a huge once I started unzipping it, unpacking that for them, I realized this is a huge rabbit hole we'd really all probably benefit from being reminded about. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the that hijacking, and then I'm also going to talk about the Bardos. I've mentioned the Bardos before, but we're going to talk about that in a different way. And if we have time, I would also like to dive into the support nature, the different things we could be doing, that the different ways nature is offering us pretty massive support. When I say us, I'm talking about humanity, massive support and probability to wake up out of the matrix, which is exciting stuff, right? That the fact that humanity there is hope. Now, I don't know about you guys. I remember in 2006, 7, 8, 9, 10, I remember thinking, wow, humanity has a long way to go. I have no idea how we're ever going to wake up. And then there was the whole 2012 thing coming forward. And I still had this feeling like, gosh, it feels impossible that humanity has a chance to wake up, because I was seeing all the different control systems layered on top of another, on top of another. It's like, how do you even begin to deal with that? But I'm sitting here today, 10 years later, 12, 14 years later, and now I'm actually for the first time ever seeing it as a possibility. Like, I'm talking about not just a few isolated groups of humanity. I'm talking about all of humanity, like en masse. I'm actually seeing it, feeling it as completely possible. This is a huge corner for me to turn in my awareness. So I'm excited about that. And if we have time, I want to share more about that. But these other two pieces I need to talk to about first, because these were questions that were asked directly of me, and I already set the intent to share it with you guys in the chat. All right. Hello, dear sister Susan. Woohoo! Turning the corner sounds great to me, she says. Of course, right? Hey, hello, dear sister Jackie. Good to see you too. This is Soul Schooling Jackie, different than our other Jackie. Both amazing women. So just not to take away from each other. Anyway, so let me dive in. Let me dive in about the hijacking of sexual energy and looking at this in a different way. So you guys have all heard about twin flame experiences. I'd be curious to hear, for the handful of people that are here right now, how many of you have heard of twin flame, twin soul experiences, and how many of you who've had twin flame experiences or twin soul experiences? I'd really be curious to poll this little small sample that's here. How many of you guys have had that burning soul flame, twin flames, twin soul experience? This is the kind of connection, the kind of love where you're just burning, spinning, out of control, just absolutely, over the moon and beyond, head over heels and beyond in love with this person, and they are with you. And I would really, if you guys have any experiences, say yes or no, like, yes, I've had that, or no, I haven't. Just keep it simple like that. Or you can explain if you want. I'm just thinking typing a short thing in now would give me more immediate gratification from my question. If it's there, if you guys feel obliged to share, I'd be curious to hear. So I've had this experience before. Only once, but it was enough to completely rock me, completely shake my life up. Matter of fact, it totally fractured the structures of my life at the time. So it was an amazing and traumatic experience at the same time. Okay. The amazing is that I never knew that I can love like that. I never knew that I could, it's like a love that you feel like you're loving with all of your being, and every single all of your cells are involved. It's like, it's so intense. So, I mean, there's no words that can describe intense. All I can say that when I was in it, to say I love you was like a speck of dust in what I was trying to express, what I wanted to express. It was so, so, so deep for me, Polly says, doesn't every relation start out like a twin flame? No. Well, relations depends on what kind of a person you are. Some people fall in love at first sight. There is something like this. I've met a few people who've had that experience. Maybe not as complete strangers, but have had that experience where they've been communicating for a while, and they finally meet in person, and they're like, wow, I just totally met my soulmate. I totally met the perfect match for me. And there's that kind of thing. And then there's those relationships that start off with infatuation, right? Infatuation's pretty intense for either side that's having it. But then, of course, the infatuation over time burns away, and reality sets in, and you realize that who you thought that person was isn't really who they are, things like that, or who you thought you were isn't really, who you are, or things like and basically an infatuation situation, eventually you wake up out of it, like something happens and you wake up out of it. A twin flame, twin soul thing, take that infatuation feeling and multiply it times 1,000. I know it might seem like exaggeration, but that's really how it is. It's like multiply that times 1,000. You are willing to, jump into a fire for this person. You are willing to completely shatter your life without a blink of an eye, for this person, or have a relationship with this person. You are willing to, go to the ends of the earth and back again, you know, um, and for this relationship. It's like something that completely rocks you and you're just out of control. That's the whole piece, is the out of control piece. Infatuation, you're still kind of in control. You can still go to work and have your life. It's just that this person's on your mind all the time. With the twin flame, twin soul thing, depending on how aligned your life is with your real truth, it's like it shatters it, totally shatters it. So in a way, it is, it's a little bit different, or a lot of bit different. All right. Oh, dear Sister Polly says, I met my partner 34 years ago at first sight. Oh, it's love at first sight. Yes. Yeah. So that's like connection at first sight, right? Twin flames are so intense. Twin soul relationships are so intense. They burn out. They burn out. It's like, because each of the person gets exhausted, constantly working their shadows out endlessly with this person. And it's intense. I mean, because like with love, with like infatuation or love, like there's just a connection there that with have that person. Maybe you feel at home for the first time with that person or something like that. That's genuine connection, probably a soul level connection, and that's a genuine love. It's like you're just so at home with them, and it's almost kind of like they. It's like all the songs speak of, like you feel like you're fun again, and you feel like you're, like there's interest in, like the colors are a little bit brighter in the world because this person's in your life. That's a different kind of situation. And actually, the fact that you even have that in your life, dear sister Starshine, I'm going to say, bravo, love that you get to have a love like that. And I think there's other people here listening that could probably also celebrate that you get to have a love like that, right? One that endures time, one that endures life, the life journey. But anyway, I'm digressing off of where I'm going with this. So I had a situation like that. It lasted for 2 years. I did end up breaking it off because I couldn't handle it anymore. It was like constantly in shadow work. It's like this love is so amazing, but then when you have a love throughout your whole body, through your whole being, everything that's not love gets highlighted, so then you're constantly working things out with this person. You're constantly facing all of your wounding that is saying no to this super intense love that your body and your soul and your being is intending or is putting forward, right? So this kind of thing, I kind of call, I'm discovering, is called love bite. And I've talked about this somewhere before, but I'm going to go deeper into this in relationship to sexual energy getting hijacked. Oh, let me pause in my building here. Dear Sister Jackie says, I think I have, but it's hard to know if it really is one. We worked our shadows very often, even though now I feel more stable. Yes. Yeah. So the fact that you can reach some kind of level of stability is a good sign, right? Great sign. You can reach some level of stability. It's when the stability never happens. That's where the problem starts coming. That's where the endurance starts. You start losing your endurance over time. It's like you become you're not only that intense love, but you're also the one that brings the intense shadow into that person's life, and vice versa. And it's like a train wreck. It's a train wreck is what it is. and it may be a train wreck because we have so many layers and we don't know who we are, and all those things are going on. Like we really believe we're certain aspects of our ego driver, maybe, so there's lots of reasons on why it becomes a train wreck. I know that I kept turning to divination and turning to my friends that were shamanic and knew how to track. I constantly, every being that came into my sphere, I was asking for them to help bring clarity for me and this other person in the relationship. And the best advice that landed for me was that there is a massive purification that needs to happen between within myself in regards to this relationship. Now, I knew when I heard that that was the truth, but then I didn't know what to do with it, right? So, so there we are. But eventually, I got to this place where I have a life that I need to live. Like my spirit was telling me, I have a life I need to live, and there's no way that this this is not ego driver stuff, but my spirit saying I had to move away from this. Okay. So I did a lot of energy, personal work, a lot of energy clearing. I did a lot, stuff to help me get a handle on things. And eventually I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I need to move on with my life. And it ended. But that's not to say, but how this ties in to the infiltration of sexual energy is because there are interdimensional beings that are able to engineer situations like this. They engineer situations like this so they can benefit from the energy that's getting generated. So imagine the power of the life force energy when you have two people full on head over heels in love with each other, like no inhibitions about it whatsoever. It's just like full on, so when you get and one of the fantasies that comes into the mind is that this love rivals even the connection between Jesus and Mary. Like it's like beyond divine providence. I had those thoughts multiple times in my head when I was in that situation. And it sounds ridiculous now, but at the time it was a real thing that was feeling like this is beyond divine connections. This is beyond, what even the great spiritual master, the Christos, could ever have in physical form. I mean, you guys can see the ridiculous in the statements, but at the time, it really felt like the truth, right? So there's there's these beings that have interdimensional abilities to set up situations like this where the union becomes so big and so bright on the love energetic planes and the inter subplanes that we're just oozing life force energy out, like oozing these frequencies out for the taking. And of course, the beings that engineer these things are perfectly set up to reap the benefit, to feed off of this. And I think this is why deep in the back of my mind, I knew this relationship was not meant to be. I knew it with every fiber of my being that it was not meant to be, but I could not keep myself away. That is how out of control I was. I could not keep myself away, even though I knew it was doomed, right? I knew it. I just knew it with every ounce, just as strong as that love was with every cell, every ounce of my being was also saying, nope, this is not supposed to happen. This is not the direction my life is supposed to go. Anyway. So all that was in there. So you can imagine the chaos and the confusion, right? That developed out of a relationship like this. So there's that kind of experience. Let me branch in, leave that branch alone for a second and weave another piece in. And the other piece I want to bring in is that very story that I'm talking about with Mary Magdalene and Jesus having a divine conception and giving birth to a self-realized child. And that would be the being known as Sarah. So for those of you who know about this story of Magdalene and Jesus, go ahead. You guys can go ahead and you totally get where I'm coming from. For those of you who aren't aware of this story that I'm mentioning, I'm just going to kind of like briefly summarize this, just so you get the landscape. Okay, so there is an ancient lineage mystery school of women who have mastered the art of immaculately conceiving a star being, one that has the capacity to be born self-realized. Okay, let that sink in for a second. They have the capacity to bring a star being that can be born self-realized. Okay, this is a being that is not tainted at all by the control matrices of the system that we live in. And I'm talking about the matrix, the multidimensional matrix that influences our consciousness. So I'm talking about the soul's journey. So karma, right, has no karma. Yes, karma is a control system. It's part of it. And we are such masterful beings. We can use karma to our advantage or not. So it's absolutely a choice. So karma, the reincarnational cycles of this planet. So how they get perpetuated is by a Bardos situation, which is why I have this woven into this conversation today. I'll go further into that later. And then they don't have any agreements with any souls, they're free of all disempowerment agreements with all beings on this planet. So that's the sun, the moon, the stars, individual souls, the planet herself, all these things, right? That's, so when you're self-realized, you're completely free inside of yourself to radiate and be the true being that you are, the true infinite being that you are in this biosuit, right? Okay, so the sisterhood were the keepers of that providence, okay? And if you guys dig deeper into the story of Mary, mother of Jesus, you would quickly discover that Mary was an immaculately conceived child. Her mother was 80 years old, Saint Anna, depending on how you pronounce her name. Some people pronounce the E at the end, so it's A-N-N-E, Saint Anna, or Saint Anne. There are temples built to her. There are all sorts of, to this day, if you go to England and different places along in Europe, there are sanctuaries dedicated to her. But she immaculately conceived Mary. And Mary became the one to the virgin birth. She was the Virgin Mary, which means immaculate. She was able to immaculately conceive Jesus. Now, the story that we're told about his conception was that an angel came down and impregnated her. So I'm going to talk about that, but I'm just saying that out loud to mental note so I come back to it so we can start seeing this in a different scope. So we have a being of divine birth, being of immaculate birth, having a child also immaculate birth, right? And that being Jesus. And of course, that energy has been influencing the planet ever since for thousands of years. Yeah. Okay. That's the power of a fully self-realized being. Now, granted, the shadows that be got control of that story and hijacked it and proliferated it and turned it into a program of suffering and sin and pain. That's besides the point. The initial being in his bringing actually is rooted in these mystery schools of the sisterhood. That's the big piece to have in your awareness. Okay. The sisterhood brought forward a being like that impacted the consciousness of this planet. So, so in its highest form, the sisterhood held the secrets on how to immaculate conceive without the assistance of a being, interdimensional or not, or a sperm, physical, from another physical being. Okay, so they were able to go deeply into the infinite nature of themselves and literally pull forward the life force, a star being, directly from the void, even from Mother of Creation herself, and impregnate herself with the consciousness of that being, and her body would begin to gestate the child. Okay, that's the highest form of immaculate conception. Now, a lot of this, well, here, I'll save that for later. So a degradation, one step down degradation of that process is when the sister conceives from an interdimensional being. So that means a non-corporeal being has intercourse with the physical mother, and she conceives through that process. So that's a downgrade. That's a downgrade of the process. Okay. Then there's another level of downgrade of the process where you have a man and then with the female. Okay. And then she conceives that way. And this is how many of the Anunnaki have been able to have offspring in human form, is by this exact kind of act that I'm talking about. Okay. And other beings, not just Anunnaki, but those are the ones that we know really well. Those are the stories we know really well. The Nephilim, the Seraphim, all that. So that original template of feminine divinity able to immaculately conceive has been degraded over the millennia. And then it gets taken a step further. And this is where you have people that have abduction experiences and birthing experiences, but not in actual physical form, which means their consciousness gets hijacked in some way. The ethereal version of them gets impregnated through etheric means, and they give birth to an etheric child, to a non-corporeal being. Okay. And there are stories like this. The first time I read, so there's a spiritual master that I worked with, and I still do work with in Dreamtime, who wrote about an experience she had along those lines, and she had no problem with it. It flipped me out. I was so freaking triggered. I'm just like, I can never talk to that woman again. I can never learn from her again. I mean, I was like super triggered. Like, I just need to get away from this person, you know? But of course, I recognized that my extreme reaction was me being triggered, right? So I decided to just be gentle with it, because she has brought so many other gifts into my life, into, so many teachings through Dreamtime as an immortal Toltec master, right? She's brought all those into my world that I couldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I was super triggered by her story. So I decided to be gentle with her and gentle with myself, and own the fact that I was going through a trigger, and then just put it down gently. And, someday maybe I'll be ready to really look at that in another way. I just left it at that and moved on. But fast forwarding through, months and, different things going on, I'm realizing that, yes, this is happening to humans in a lot of ways. So right now I'm talking about conception and giving birth. Okay. Because that is the power of our sexual energy, is creating life, making life. And it doesn't have to be human life. It can be life of many sorts. Okay. So the womb space that the physical body has is multidimensional, hyperdimensional even, and very powerful creation energy. Very, very powerful creation energy. And it's creation energy from love. It's love creation energy. It's not creation energy through mental understanding. It's not mental body creation. This is love creation, boring things out of the field of pure love. Okay. So, and I know women are conditioned to have a different relationship to their womb space than that, but I'm just putting my finger on this, is that this is the exalted power that a womb space has. So you can imagine how sought after a woman's having control over a womb space is, right? Because it is so powerful. You can manipulate a woman's womb space to create life in many different forms, not just human forms. You can also, create all this other stuff. Okay, so there's that facet to it. Now, this is so for a woman specifically to reclaim her sovereignty as a multidimensional being, it is necessary for us to reclaim our womb space. And I also had a dear sister Starshine add in the idea of also claiming the placentas that we gave, that we had. So for those of us who have had children, energetically, there's potentially a benefit for reclaiming not just your womb space, but the placenta as well. So I haven't played with that yet. I imagine it's because I have some kind of resistance about it. So I haven't quite played with it yet, but it's there. It's a thought form that's there, and it does have resonance. So I'm trying to move outward so I'm not completely whited out in the sun here. Okay, this is good. So so there's that kind of hijacking of energetic of life force energy. And when you are in copulation with another human being, And I'm just going to say male-female partnerships, but this could be with male and male and female as well. It's not just binary partnerships, but I only can really speak about binary partnerships because that's primarily my experiences, right? So I only feel comfortable talking about the things that are in my experience. So not only do you have that creation energy, you also have the energies that build up to it. You have the energies that build up to opening up that field of love. Okay. And this is arousal energy, sexual energy, tantric energies. Okay. And not that tantric is all about sex, because that's not true. That's a misunderstanding. It's just that that's in the category here. Okay. So when you get into arousal energy, it's actually really, really potent, because arousal energy is what begins the biosuit hormonal building to accessing that creative space of the womb. Okay. So arousal energy, and this is something that the Tao work with a lot, they actually use arousal energy to nourish the body, to heal organs, to heal wounding, to bring great emotional, mental, spiritual healing to the couple in the experience, right? So even arousal energy is really powerful and juicy. Okay. So that arousal energy also is impacted, hijacked. Okay. Oh, here, let me pause for a moment, because dear sister Starshine Soul Schooling Jackie, she's saying there's a book, Wombs and Aliens, very interesting, about all women tribes who brought spirits through their wombs. Ah, yes, exactly. Okay, so I want to connect this into a real life thing that goes on today. So in Africa, and I think it's one of the Zuni, no, is it Zuni? It's not an N. It's Zulu. One of the Zulu tribes, the women still do this practice. And what they do is that when they sense that, or when they have a desire to conceive, they will first do kind of like what we would call a vision quest. She would go out into the wilderness, into the jungle, in like a vision quest capacity, and do a soul journey to seek out the soul that she's going to give birth to. And she becomes an active participant in the quality of consciousness that she's going to bring into her womb space and give birth to. Okay, so this piece that Jackie's talking about is a real thing that's practiced to this day. All right. I know these things might sound outlandish, but this is the truth about the actual human experience. This is the truth about the power of our biosuit and our consciousness, right? So those of us waking up out of the layers of lies in the matrices, we can see, this truth is way more accessible to us than, maybe just a mainstream human listening to this. I mean, I can imagine this just be considered complete crazy talk by a regular human. Anyway, and my neighbor, which is why I keep looking to see if they're hanging out on their porch. I don't want to flip them out. These things can be really scary to people, so I try to be compassionate about that. Anyway, let's keep going, darlings. All right, so thank you, Jackie, for that book recommendation. Oh, if I may, actually, I want to go on a side jaunt. I want to go totally on a side jaunt here. My team, as you guys know, I have a team that I work with that helps me run the academy. This YouTube gig, this is just me offering support to star seeds, right? But my main gig is my main purpose and what I do is working specifically with liberating humans one-on-one or in groups, right? So that's where most of my bandwidth is going, right? To help the people I can help personally. And that want that, right? So, dear Starshine on my team had this really magnificent idea, at least I thought it was a good idea, to create an Amazon affiliate link where we can put recommended books on that link and share it with people. So if it's okay with you, dear Sister Jackie, if we can find that book on Amazon, I'm happy to add that into our affiliate links. We do have a couple other books on there that are standards to us in the Academy, because we work a lot with telluric beings. We work a lot with exospecies. We do a lot of work on the interdimensional planes. And for those people who have the kind of intelligence that can learn from reading, a lot of starseeds, reading doesn't do it for them, but some, they're gifted, or they're gifted with that ability to read something and really learn, from what they're reading. So for those of you that have that, we have some books already in that cart, in that affiliate link. And Beverly's not here, or else I'd have her share it. And that is Alchemy of the Nine Dimensions, because I talk about that all the time, Barbara Handclough, right? And then there's Summer of the Leprechaun, which is an amazing story of a woman tracing her roots back to Ireland and spending the summer there, and ended up connecting with the elemental spirits, one of them being a leprechaun. And that leprechaun decided to take her, so to speak, under his wing and teach her about the elemental realm and how to connect, how humans can connect. Oh, Beverly, you are here. Can you share the links that I'm talking about to these books, so people can check that out? And then the third, that would be wonderful, Beverly. Thank you so much. And then the third book, now I can't remember what the third book was. The third book is one that was just gifted to me by dear Starshine in the Academy, and that was called The Art of Dreaming by Carlos Castaneda. Okay. And, we specialize, I know I'm going off in a tangent. I'll come back to the energy hijacking in a minute. We specialize in conveying the wisdom, the knowledge that can be known, but not told. Okay. So think of it like this. You can read a book about enlightenment, but just because you read the book, you're not enlightened. Doesn't mean you're enlightened, right? So we actually do the work for people to make the discoveries inside of themselves, right? Make the discovery inside of themselves and have realizations inside of themselves. So they actually wake up to their blind spots actually having melt away. That's the wisdom that can be known but not told. Because when you learn something about yourself, say you have a major epiphany experience that totally changes your life, it would not have been that powerful if someone just told you that, or if you just read it in a book, right? That's not to say the reading's not valuable. It is, because there's a lot of people that have the intelligence. They have that kind of, that's their style, it fits their style of learning through reading. That's absolutely valid, right? Which is why we're doing these affiliate links. I'm a kinetic learner. I learn by doing. So once I do it, I got it, right? So I'm not so endowed with that particular ability to read something and then totally be able to recall it all and have it really land for me. But anyway, so right. So we specialize in the knowledge that can be known but not told. That's what we do. And that's why, and we take people going from that first ring magic into second ring magic, where it's all happening inside of yourself. That's why we don't get involved with teaching about altars or, teaching about external tools and stuff like this, because this is all about transitioning from working with the outer world to bring your realizations and healings, to working with the inner world to bring realizations and healings. Okay. There's a big consciousness leap that happens in that process. But for many people, when they read something and then have an experience, it helps get them out of the way for the experience. Like there's, wow, I actually have lots of examples. For example, that Art of Dreaming book by Carlos Castaneda. And this is why I totally went down this tangent. He has amazing, amazing techniques and practices shared in that book. But there's a huge but here. I recognize and resonate the distillation because that book is a distillation of his experiences. I recognize those things because I've already been there and felt the truth of it. If you haven't felt the truth of it yet, it may not impact you the same way, but it'll plant a seed. It'll plant a seed thought inside. So when an opportunity does happen, You will recognize it and you won't miss the opportunity. You'll take it because you recognize it. You see what I mean? So that's the thinking that I have when it comes to creating this affiliate reading book list. Oh, okay. Sorry if that was too long. If that was long-winded. All right, let me get back to the hijacking of creative energy, sexual energy. Okay, so if you guys know, in the healing arts, there's Chinese medicine, and Chinese medicine, especially acupuncture, relies a lot on stimulating kidney qi to bring a lot of energy to the body to heal things, heal imbalances, heal things that make things wake up that are closed up and dormant, or maybe calm things down that are overactive. It's like they use the kidney qi, which is significant, to bring pretty significant healings to the body. I myself have had Bell's palsy healed with acupuncture, which was a combination of course, stimulating the kidney qi, but also some herbs and stuff like this. So I'm a full believer in. I that's my preferred kind of modality. So the arousal energy that your body's capable of generating is equal to that power. Okay, equal to the kidney qi. So imagine having never claimed your sexual energy, never fully held sacred your sexuality, how much energy you're draining from yourself, how much energy you're allowing yourself to be drained of. Okay. Now it's as much energy as kidney qi, which is massive uh, amount of energy. So imagine how much life force energy, how much more life force you would have flowing through your being if you reclaimed all that energy. And not only did you reclaim the arousal energy, but you also claimed the womb space, the actual progenitor, a vehicle, doorway that actually brings these creations into form, either in this plane or in other planes. And I need to keep you focused that this is not just physical birth I'm talking about. This is in other planes. This is a massive significance, because guys, we create things from the inner planes long before they come into physical form. All right, so this is planting a really powerful thought form for you potentially if your garden is ripe for it. Okay. Okay, thank you. Beverly says that she's putting the links in the comments for afterwards, so they're clickable, because links in the running live comments are not clickable. Okay, thank you so much for that, Beverly. Okay, so reclaiming our reproductive organs and reclaiming our arousal energy is absolutely essential for our sovereignty, because it is such juicy, powerful frequencies that we have not claimed. We have deeply not only neglected but shamed people, right? Massive shaming around these parts of ourselves through many generations, through many thousands of years. We have been discouraged and blocked from reclaiming our reproductive energy and reclaiming our sexual energy. Okay. So one of the thought forms is, how can this be harmful to me when I'm in ecstatic bliss, when I'm in these experiences? Okay. And what I want to say to this is that if all that ecstatic bliss is for you and your partner and you and your partner alone, I'd say it's magical and amazing and healing for both of you. But the fact is, and I'm sad to say this, I'm sad that this is the truth, that 99.9% of the time you're not alone. And it's not just you reaping the benefit of that bliss energy. There's feeders all around you. And if there are non-corporeal beings occupying your biosuit along with you while you're having the arousal, while you are having the orgasm, you 100% are not benefiting from that bliss. You're benefiting the minimal amount possible for you to want to keep doing it and nothing more. Okay? Let that sink in. If there are non-corporeal beings coming into your body for sexual experience through your physical form, you are given they share that energy with you just enough to keep you to want to keep doing it. Okay? That's huge. And I know it's a tough pill to swallow. And you know what? Everybody's an adult here, and you can choose to do whatever it is you want to do. So if you want to keep having interdimensional sex with these beings, that is your prerogative. And, and it could be that there's something that your soul really wants to continue to produce in the inner planes with these beings. That's possible too. I know that I woke up out of that particular kind of relationship where that was happening, and what I realized is that it was a vow of devotion that I made many lifetimes ago in Atlantis, in these sex cults, right? And I pledged my never-ending devotion that will go on forever. I will forever and always be devoted to you. This, what this cult was focused on, the being that this cult was focused on. So you can imagine never or forever is a really long time, right? So I'm lucky enough in this lifetime to have the opportunity to wake up to that dynamic and unravel it. So that being no longer has influence, no longer has the right to access my personal energy like that, my arousal energy or sexual energy. And, I had a really trippy experience waking up to this being. Okay. I was actually in bed with my husband at the time, and he was asleep, but this being was inside of him on my energy, facilitating arousal. And because I was in between the state of waking and sleeping, which is a really magical time, I was actually able to be aware of the arousal and be aware of this being. And I actually saw what he looked like. I saw his silhouette, and I instantly remembered where our connection came from. It's like I can smell the smells. I was in the room. I saw how it all happened. All that stuff was instantaneous in the space between waking and sleeping. You can still call it dream time. And that's what spurred me to be able to track this down and unravel it. Okay. So, and ever since then, I've had a whole different relationship, this whole different autonomy in relationship to my sexual energy and to my womb space and stuff like this, that actually began a journey of no longer wanting to have an IUD, because I had a copper IUD for a long time, which served its purpose, but definitely I kept it beyond its purpose. Let's say it like that. Anyway, so you guys can see as we grow in this point that how important it is to take responsibility and reclaim your life force energy, your sexual life force energy in your womb space. Even if you're a man, you still have connections with the womb space. You still have connections with your own arousal energy and how you interact with a woman's arousal energy. It's huge. It's absolutely a huge thing to wake up to. And when you both can be in spiritual ecstatic bliss while you're in the process of, right, that is an amazing opportunity. That is an amazing gift. And my suggestion is to set the space and declare nobody can drink up that frequency, those energies, but you and your partner. Those energies are only for you and your partner to benefit from, and nobody else. You know what I mean? Set that intent. And then if you'll notice these subtle things. If there's resistance going on, maybe all of a sudden you're not interested in sex, or maybe all of a sudden you can't get fully aroused, right? Those are huge feedback loops. So if you set an intent like that, The feedback loop will come instantly if you set it really strongly and with focus. All right, dear sister Starshine, Jackie says, it's taking me years to shake off suckers and reclaim all parts of myself. Yes, that's exactly right. It takes a while because we have been swimming in this matrix for a long time, long before this life force. I mean, long before this life stream. You know what I mean? Even before we're human, we were still, chances are engaged in this matrix as other kinds of beings, as maybe Palladians or Syrians or reptilians or Arcturians or Andromedans or whatever. You know what I mean? So we've been engaged with this game for quite some time. And the fact that we even can clean it up in one lifetime is a freaking miracle, is a miracle. All right. Jackie goes on to say, I will say that to really reclaim all of these aspects of myself, I've had to refrain from personal bliss and shared bliss with my husband. Oh, see. Oops, sorry, little disturbance there. Yeah, see, that is a really big piece, isn't it? That's a real big piece. And I think that is where the communication and the whole thing with you and your partner being on the same team about things is really, really helpful, because then you're not trying to relate a metaphysical understanding to mundane levels, because the mundane linear doesn't really, it's like explaining a dream. It's really difficult to explain it in linear terms. But if they can meet you in that abstract and understand the importance of reclaiming energy, that definitely makes for more grace and ease. But there is a but. So maybe that isn't necessarily a place where you guys connect. There are other options. And I'm running out of time, so let's see if I can get there and explains what these other options might be. Our dear sister Beverly says, oh man, my lack of libido may not be because of hormones. That's true. Right. So this is the thing. By time women, I know you're a lot younger, Beverly, but by time women reach 50 years old, their bullshit meter has gone to zero, and there's zero sex drive. I think that there is definitely a connection between those two things. Okay. They can no longer deny their truth anymore. They no longer give two craps about what people think. I mean, all these things come online for women when they start approaching their croning years. And my hypothesis is, I'm not 50 yet. I'm almost there, but I'm not yet. My hypothesis is that some part of them just clicks and says no more. And because of that, the drive is gone. The libido is gone. The hormones associated with it is gone, because you're just done. On a deep level, you're just done. And you're actually closing the door to all those things that are feeding off of your energy and draining you. Now, you're a lot younger, Beverly, and I want to share with you that I have come across, actually, well, I have had 5 women now under the age of 50 experience. They're all on a spiritual path. Most of my clients are healers and visionaries, right? All on a deep spiritual path. So there's 5, which is an amazing amount of number. 5 women younger, in their 30s, come forward with, I don't want to have sex anymore. I want to be celibate. They want to completely change the direction of their lives and no longer make themselves available for that. It doesn't feel right for them, even though they may love their partners. They may be in love, but for some reason, this other part of them is not happening. So just sharing with you, Beverly, that I know you're saying that as a joke, but there could be something to it for sure. It's worth looking into. All right. Dear sister Jackie says, for sure, there is a connection, and what you are exactly right, Christina. Can't keep giving away pieces of myself and are just done. Okay. Not so for gay women, ... You know, when you say no, are you talking about the libido thing? Um, I don't know. I don't consider myself a gay woman, And I do know several that do identify like that. And I don't know. You know what, Polly? That's a great question. I don't know. I think it's definitely worth inquiring, though. There's a few sister star shines in our group that I know who walk with that kind of identification, and I'm right now thinking if there's a way to ask. You know me, I'll ask. I'll ask. So, yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I think that's something that's worth inquiring, because that may validate or invalidate this hypothesis that I have. So, if anybody does identify as lesbian, gay, there's other terms in there. Forgive me for not being clear on what they all are. If anybody identifies as that and is 50 years old or nearing 50 years old, oh, I oh, that's so funny, Polly. No, you know what? That totally escaped me. Thank you. Thank you for offering that up. Thank you, thank you, thank you for offering that up. Sometimes I can be real thick. Oh, I'm laughing at myself for being ridiculous. Thank you so much for that, dear. Yeah, so that's food for thought. That's definitely food for thought. Um, and, yeah, I think there's a lot of dimensions to that. It has to do with being true to oneself. If you're in a relationship where you're really true to yourself in that relationship, I imagine the libido thing maybe not becoming such a thing. But yeah, it depends. I think there's a lot of factors, a lot of mystery factors in there for me. Now that you're taking it in this direction, a lot of mystery factors. But you can bet that I'm not going to just let this go. I'm going to keep on watching and observing and see what kinds of feedback loops and data sets come forward over this. Okay. I need to cover the Bardos. It's 3:00. I'm going to try to cover the Bardos here. So earlier I was mentioning about a self-realized human. When they come into this world, they don't have agreements created yet with the different layers of the control systems that are locking down our consciousness. Right now, there's a lot less locking down our consciousness, but the lack of creativity, the lack of imagination, the lack of having strong life force energy, all that stuff hinders humans from discovering, from expanding their definition of themselves and who they are. Right. So there's these factors in play still keeping humanity limited. And one of those layers of matrices is something called the Bardos. It also can be recognized as the life review, and that is, if you guys did watch any videos of people who've had near-death experiences, NDEs, they all talk about there was a light, they went into the light, and they had a life review. And in the life review, you quite literally evaluate your life in different ways. Now, the way the word Bardos, how I'm using that term because we are multidimensional starseeds waking up to ourselves. We have different levels of awareness. And it may not be a life review experience. It may be closer to a Bardos experience as defined by the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And the Tibetan Book of the Dead talks about a Bardos, which is a threshold or a space in between living and the afterlife. And the control system is that space in between has been taken over, and people make choices in that space in between. And the lessons in the Bardos, if you look at it in a Bardos perspective, that you are presented with life scenarios that you still hold regret over, you still have a lot of emotional charge over. And if you try, and in the Bardos experience, if you go to interact with those emotionally, mentally, with those scenarios that you're seeing, you instantly come back into the reincarnational cycle of this planet. Okay, so you get reincarnated instantly. Now, time is different in the space in between and in the afterlife as it is in this linear plane. So it literally means nothing. You can reincarnate instantly, and it may seem like an instant in the space in between in the Bardos, but maybe 100 years gone by on Earth, or maybe 10 years gone by. It completely depends, because it's all about who the parents are, who the agreement is for those parents, right? So I like to talk about it in the form of Bardos instead of the life review, because we have a different awareness going on. If you're here listening to this, you have a different kind of awareness going on. And there's so much to that that don't resonate. So so the life review thing will resonate until it doesn't. And so I'm in the space of, I talk about it because I don't feel like that's true. I feel like the Bardos is closer to the truth. So the idea is if you can successfully navigate the Bardos without taking any of the bait, then you leave. You have the ability to completely leave the reincarnational cycles of this realm. You are liberated from being trapped in those cycles. Okay, that's the Bardos as defined by the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I've had my own experiences with this. My near-death experience was many years ago, 2006, and I had a very clear choice. I navigated the Bardos, and I had a very clear choice. If I kept going, if I kept going with my consciousness, where, as in, no need to reincarnate. I was just, I don't know what they were going to do with my body, if they were going to put a hologram in my place or what. I have no idea. But it was so crystal clear to me that if I continued past where I was going with my consciousness, that I was not going to come back. And I was going to, my physical incarnational experience on this planet was done. And I was leaving the reincarnational cycling that was happening on this planet. So, so in that moment is where, one of the teachers I was working with came and got me and sang. And actually, he didn't like just grab me. Instead, he sang. He sang a love song so strong it was in perfect harmony with the love of the mother and the gravity of the mother of why I was here in the first place. And that why, that moth to flame, is what brought me back here. You see what I mean? So that's my experience with this process. All right, dear Sister Carol says, how do we know that other beings are part of this act? Yeah, so there's some good, that's an excellent question, Carol. Thank you for that. Well, there's some things with that. One is, how do you feel with arousal? Is it easy? Is it something that brings you life force energy? Is it something that makes you feel really good? Is there a really strong feedback loop of love and expression and health and vibrance and stuff like this? You'd be surprised, but that's not always the case. What happens is that if you wake up and you constantly want to have sex, it's because you're not getting the fuel from it. Other beings are getting the fuel from it, right? And then if you have those experiences where you feel drained and tired after having sex, then that's a feedback loop telling you that you're getting drained. Now, how many of you have some pillow talk afterwards and instantly go to sleep, right? So there's a feedback loop for you. If you're not experiencing optimal health and wellness, if you're having regular arousal and regular sex in your life and you're not experiencing optimal health and wellness, and you're not connected into your dream time, then those are feedback loops that can indicate that you're being your food, right? Those energies are food for other beings. Like I said, 99.9%, it's probably greater than that, of humans do not reap the benefit of their own arousal sexual energy, because it's such a standard operating per. Okay, Well, it looks like my device is going to be dying soon, so I'm going to have to say my farewell to you all. That last topic, I really wish I could get to. Maybe we'll continue on next week. Thank you, mwah, everybody, for being a part of this conversation. I really appreciate you guys all participating. And yeah, maybe I'll continue on with some signs that maybe you can point your finger at to indicate if you're food or not, if other beings are participating in this. Okay. Love you guys. And you guys look out for that link that Beverly posts with those recommended reading list stuff. And also want to let you know that the Dreamtime Healing Project still has openings. So if you guys if anybody's interested or feeling the call to like dive in a whole nother level, that's available for everybody if you have the bandwidth for it. It's 6 meetings a month, so it's a lot for the bandwidth. I mean, there's a lot of bandwidth involved with this. Yeah, just to put in mind, it's 6 meetings a month, and then you're also actively engaging your dream time every night. So anyway, just to give you a little preview of that, you guys can check that out, lightbodyacademy.com. And of course, that affiliate link will be for the Amazon thing reading list will be in the comments below. Beverly's going to post that. All right, guys. Thank you. Mwah. I love you. Until next time, make it a great day. Bye.